Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Matt Capper, and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Today, we're going to do another back-to-back. I built them so you don't have to. And today we're going to do an old champion that's been around for a couple of years now. It was part of a freebie Amazon Prime collab. They haven't done one since, which is unfortunate. It was actually a really fun thing to do with Amazon Prime. But this is a champion that was kind of cool, but not really useful. But we do have a whole bunch more champions now, so I want to find out, has anything changed with Whisper? So without further ado, let's take a look at Whisper. Charged Assault. Attacks one enemy. Places a 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 2 turns before attacking if the target has a higher max HP than this champion. Will ignore defense if the target is under a weakened debuff. Unyielding Flurry. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Grants an extra turn if the target is under decreased defense and weakened debuffs. Softening Drive. Attacks one enemy. Has a 50% chance, bookable to 75% chance, of placing a 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns. Unrelenting. Passive. Has a 10% chance of granting an extra turn whenever this champion lands a critical hit. Increases damage inflicted on bosses by 20%. Well, there you go. There's Whisper. Her kit kind of, in my opinion, really looks out towards bosses. So that's what we're going to do. First, we're going to take a look at how I built her with Masteries and her artifacts. And then we're going to take her into a couple different boss areas and see if we can't get her to quote-unquote pop off and do some heavy damage against boss level fights. So let's move on over to her kit, or her build, and her Masteries. Here is Whisper. Now, like I said, I want to review her now because her kit was kind of unique, and it was, how do you make it work? And I feel like we have about 300 more champions now, so there might be 300 more ways to integrate her into a good team. Here are her base stats. We have 33,452 HP, 6277 attack. Don't worry about defense. 198 speed, 100% crit rate, 102, and 260 crit damage at 186 accuracy. I would ideally wanted her to 220, but unfortunately, in order to get 220, I had to break a clan boss. I didn't pay attention when I was using the enhancer, the Hell Hades build optimizer. So that was my fault. And rather than redo everything, I just put on something that would work. But here she is. As you can see, the Masteries here. I wanted full damage from her, and I was thinking boss level. And because she has an enemy max HP, I don't think Helm Smasher is going to do a whole lot, especially when she already has one ability that would potentially already ignore defense. So instead of that, I went with War Master, which is just going to do extra damage, 60% chance to do extra damage. It would be reasonable to build her out Flawless Execution, which oddly enough is how I originally had her built out. On this, I probably should have went down the support tree had I known I was going to have some issues on the accuracy side. But as you can see here, we're just giving her some survivability here. She's potentially going to kill people, so that doesn't hurt. And then some resistance, fine, and then this a counter attack because she has a very good chance of losing 25% of her damage. And that's just a reminder here. The big thing here is this: which champion lands a critical hit gets an extra turn and increases the damage inflicted on bosses by 20%. So that's what we're aiming for here. Everything else is about that. When I was talking about, she has this, and we're just going to bring in Venus for that decreased defense weaken, and that way this is a self buff here. Once again, we'll talk about this, of course, in the final thoughts. Once again, this increased crit rate. It's a 2-turn on a 3-turn on a 3-turn cooldown, which means if you build her for not full crit rate, she's going to be sitting there with her 70% crit rate for a turn, and drives me nuts. There's not a champion, I don't think, tell me if I'm wrong, there's not a single champion in this game that has an increased crit rate where it makes sense to use it. Now, there's a few AoE increased crit rates. Maybe we can make use of that with her and stagger them. Sure, but then you're asking too much. So this really annoys me, having an increased crit rate on self buff that doesn't last as long as the cooldown, because you can't do that. I need her to be critical for this. I want her to at least be critical for this. Also, here's where you get the 75% chance of placing the weaken. This would be fine, except I don't want her to leave it a chance anyway. And she does have an aura, which I of course don't review, for increased ally attack in dungeons. So we're going to have her as the lead in the dungeon to help out. We're going to take to level 25, which obviously wasn't around when she was originally formed up. So let's jump into a couple. I'm going to do 2 different bosses. We're going to see if either one of them works out. But the first one, standard, pretty easy. We're going to go into the dragon. So let's head over there now. So here is my standard dragon team. What we're going to do here is we're going to insert her right into here. It was kind of annoying because then I have to redo this, but that's fine. The things I do for you guys. The things I do for you. I always have problems finding her. There she is. Oh, I want her as the lead too. Of course I do. That just breaks everything. The things... Okay, I'm done. I'm done with that now. Okay, so first of all, we want to fix out Seer. I think, yeah, she just does that first choice. We're using Kymar, so yeah, this is pretty easy, actually. We didn't have to do that at all. But Whisper, what I want to make sure is that I want this grants an extra turn. I want that to happen on the boss. I don't think she's 198 speed, 190. She is going to take a turn. So just so we don't put it on cooldown, we're going to lock it out here and here. And in round 3, what we're going to do is we're going to make it the priority, but we're going to make the charged assault the opener. Just so that way, because Lydia will have to have a turn before she debuffs. We see that with when I use Arminger in this. So same thing here. If we just give her that 1 turn wait, then she'll buff herself and then be able to do this. Now here's the other thing. She puts an extra turn. So she's going to hit this twice, and then she's going to jump to Softening Dive, and she's actually going to run through her buff because of this, and this is exactly what I mean here. But this should work out so long as nothing's changed. You never know, I might have taken something off. So let's just run it and find out. See what kind of damage she can do. I'm really interested. She's obviously not going to be good for anything where she needs to clear waves. This is why, well, that's 189. That's with her. That was her A2, I think, because I locked out her A3. So that's pretty cheeky. There we go. Now let's see what happens here. Boom. She's got that increased attack and crit rate on her. And there's a decreased defense. Let's see how much damage she can do here. Boom, 90, and then she gets extra turn at 140. That's pretty good damage. That's a pretty decent. Now, so what we had done before, and I'm not against doing it again. Normally speaking, she took a little bit of damage there, but it might be worthwhile to make a champion like this use. Oh, I don't like that. Taking away the buffs there, but hey, with those extra turns, she actually has quite a bit of health left. Well, that's good. Yeah, she smacks. She smacks with all of her abilities. You know what? We're gonna do a damage. I might not take her into a boss. I just want to do some damage testing here. To be perfectly honest with you, that was good damage. What did she do? 2.4. Gotta remember, Seer's taking all the damage on the first 2 waves. I think Whisper got 1 shot in. But yeah, I honestly, and 113 on stage 25 is almost identical to what I do with Armiger, who is getting an enemy max HP. He's hitting for 430 roughly each hit, potentially every single hit, because he's in reflex gear. But because she's such a fast hitter and she gets that extra turn, I gotta say I didn't expect her to do that well at the level 25. So I would say, I mean, she's got pretty good gear on her for sure, but she doesn't have endgame gear. She's not running Savage, but that ignored defense is a big deal on that A2, which is 100% crit rate. If you wanted to gamble, you could run her at 70% crit rate and allow that buff to give her the damage on that A2 hit and then on the A3 hit. That might work out for you. And then A1, you're just gambling at a 70% chance for it to work out for you. She's Void Affinity, so you're not going to get anything. But I really like that. So I tell you what, let's take her into. I'm going to take her into one more boss. Maybe I'll bring a bunch of single target just so we can see what kind of damages we're talking about here and give some comparison. So we're going to head over to the Doom Tower. So it'll be a fun little place to try to test some of her damages out versus some of my other big single target nukers. So we'll be right back. All right, so we're going to go up against Magma. This is only floor 10. It's only one of unlocked. You can see Doom Tower. I just don't do it as much as I used to. So we're going to come in here, but I'm actually going to slow it down a bit just so we can see what's going on. I have Ethos in here. He does some really good damage. Obviously, he gets us through the waves here. So here we go. And everyone's probably wondering, oh my god, why are you using her in here? Well, it's planned. So 27k there. He does pretty good damage. 120 with his A1. See, he just steals the roll. So what does she do? 191. That's not bad. That's with the A2, which ignores defense. He's doing 88 there. 89, 84 extra turn. 106. You know, a chance for the war proc as well. Gosh, I feel like I kind of like her. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's weird that HP was on there. There's some. I usually use Royal Guard in this spot. We're gonna run at full speed here just to see how close off it is compared to Royal Guard. But she does such good damage. I don't know. I kind of am falling in love with her a little bit here. Oh, you know what it is? For some reason, he didn't put the block buff up. But let's replay it in full speed and just see what the kind of speeds we're talking about here. Oh, I know what happened. So I have him out of turn order because he actually, I took him out of the order and then put him back in because I was gonna put her as lead and then realized her damage buff is only in dungeons, or her aura, sorry. So that's why, because normally he'll put a block up, but he doesn't put it up there and he doesn't get it back around to it. So for one turn he heals. So I gotta fix that, or the time here isn't equal. Oh, look at him with the extra turns. Show off. Well, the best part is I can pretend this didn't happen. I want to do some damage testing is what I want to do. Forget all this. Forget this. Forget you. Forget you. Let's do some damage testing. Let's bring in some top nuking champions that I have built. Do you guys want to see a little Cupidus? I mean, he got buffed, so why not? Let's throw him in there as a bonus. Yeah, my Rhodos. So my Cupidus, I just had him built, so he's a little bit more survivable. I had him built for the Hydra. So he's you know, obviously a little bit more here. Although I should probably rebuild him because I don't need the 282 resist. That was under a different team comp. But we sped him up. We gave him a little bit more HP so he'd survive, and obviously we want that accuracy up for the HP burn. But with his buff, we'll see if that happens. And then of course Venus, we just have her survivable. She's got some good attack, but we didn't build her specifically for attack. She's just got good accuracy here. So that's Venus. My Rhodos here, who is in Savage gear, 6k attack, 254 crit damage in Savage, with 27k HP, and obviously that'll increase. And then my Ethos here, So you can see he's at 6908, 255 crit damage, 221 speed. It's kind of weird that he's 6908. I thought I had him over 7k, but I guess I must have changed something. I did steal some of his gear because I didn't need him to be that high because I don't use him in 3v3 anymore. All right, so let's take a look at this. We'll start it, but we'll take it off of auto because I want her to have that debuff right on the first round. I think he could pretty much one shot. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so let's get that debuff out there. And, well, let's see what he can do with his triple. So 30, 60, 90, we'll call it 100,000. We'll see what this here, which is the attack with HP burn. We're not too worried about it. Or, sorry, that's the non-HP burn one. And then she's going to put on her own buff and hit. So 194. Let's see with the ignored defense, 122. So she's hitting harder than he is, just if we're keeping score here. I want to keep that in case I buff. No, don't give me the extra turns. That's gonna kill him. 84. That was unfair. That was stupid. But you know what? Just effing around, and I almost got my best time. We can insert her in here. I don't think this is a set team. No. Yeah, we don't need you on this one. He says with utter confidence. Or maybe we do. I don't know. Let's not do super raids. I might need these keys for more testing. Okay, so whatever. You should be killing them all. There we go. Yeah, let's see what we can get for damages here, because I don't know if she has enough accuracy. Oh, she does to put it right on there. That's nice. Okay. Use some survivability. I guess we'll just do that. Alright, she's gonna buff herself. Let's see what she does against this spider here. 228, 507 with her A2. And then she comes in like that. 172, and of course extra turn Nelly. He never gets these turns, by the way. Ever. He never gets as many turns. This is crazy. Okay, yeah, let's just do this for a little healsy. What next? What do we got? I think I'd be a little bit worried about her survivability in this one, maybe. But, you know. I don't know how to feel. I honestly, legitimately, I'm not 100% sure how to feel about her damage. Her ability in this game, in this level. I mean, 191. I guess we can just auto at this point. Let's do this. Like, I like her damage. 164 on her on the War Master proc. That's how you beat this spider, especially at the top level. Like, look at, like, she's doing damage. 197 on the boss. What does Ethos do? 128. So she's out. I mean, granted, his other two skills are AoE, so you're splitting it over multiple enemies, but still, like 119 with her A2, which is ignore defense. I mean, you can't. I don't think you can complain about her. I think she's a. So here's what I think. I think she's a viable option. Yeah, I'll save it for final thoughts. I don't want to kind of ruin what I'm thinking here, but 311. So what I see in my head here. We got time. We might as well talk about it. What I see here is that she's another champion like Little Miss Annie. She's a champion that you can bring in for that hard-hitting single target on these champions where you have to be single target. Now, She is less survivable than some, but she still has 16k health. That's not bad. Now I'm sitting at 6k attack with her 6277. We can scale that back to 5,000 and put that somehow into HP, maybe her ring. We can, you know, if we don't have a weakened champion, we can scale up her accuracy and her A1. Then we'll very likely put weakened down, which will help if you only have a defense down champion. Which I think we did, right? I think Riho's only defense down on that, right? Maybe I'm wrong. She did 3.3 million. She did more damage than Ethos, right? So this is what you're getting out of her. I really like it. So why don't we move to final thoughts? We'll talk about her. We'll see what my thoughts on her are, which I think you can kind of guess, but whatever. We'll put it out there in the ether anyway. So let's go to final thoughts. My final thoughts on this champion is I'm actually a little bit stunned. I like her. I like her a lot. I like what she brings to the table. I like where she's usable. And what I think is, when Whisper was introduced, she was ahead of her time. She was a good novelty. You put her in Relentless, you let her get all these extra turns. And I feel like they changed her kit up a bit. I feel like she used to get even more extra turns, and they nerfed something in that, if I recall. So it kind of became out of favor. It was a flavor of the month, but nowhere really to use her. Since the time that she's been introduced, we have level 21 through 25 dungeons. We have Doom Tower. We have, we've always had Faction Wars, and I still don't think she would be an A1 champion. Maybe if you don't have a faceless, this could be your nuker. Would be good against the boss in Faction Wars, so I don't think it's completely out of the question. But overall, I really like what she brings to the table now with all these extra bosses in the game. Whereas when she was introduced, it was essentially the 4 level 20s, and you were speedrunning those, and she wouldn't make it any faster. So now you see that with the damage she can do and the extra damage against bosses, and there's so many more bosses for her to come up against, and we're not even talking Griffin, we're not even talking Eternal, we're not even talking the higher level, which I'm going to keep her in her gear and test out. I think that she's a very strong, viable. Now, I caution you, I don't think if you're free to play and you still have other things to do, I don't necessarily think this is a champion for you. But I think if you're at the point where you're looking for extra damage to speed up a level 25 dungeon that you already have completed, but you're looking for just more damage, you're not worried about survivability, you're using a reviver or whatever the case, shield set champion or whatever, and you're like, hey, I want more damage, I want to see, that's where Whisper comes in. She's kind of that second tier of champion you'd build. I liken her to Little Miss Annie or Krutraxa, though Krutraxa also in the arena, I'm not talking about that, but in dungeons where you just want that extra damage, the extra turns, all the different cool stuff that they can do. But this isn't a champion you're relying on as your core set of champions to get you through content. That said, I mean, she was out damaging my Ethos, and my Ethos isn't in baby gear. Because of this extra 20% right here, this makes everything different, and the extra turn. And this, as long as they're under a weakened debuff, she's ignoring defense. That is ridiculous. And because she ignores defense, like we said, you'd no longer have to do that. Helm Smasher would be pointless on her, in my opinion. Sure, it would help the other two, but because this does so much damage, and with the extra turn, you're going to get back to it quicker, I wouldn't bother in Helm Smasher. You get those nice War Master procs that are just nice, consistent damage that you're adding on. And I think honestly, I think she's a build. And I don't think I would have said that 2 years ago. I think I would have said, for most of you, unless you're just Cyndi Lauper and want to have fun, don't build her. Now, I'm thinking, after you get your cores done, I think give Whisper a chance. I think she might shock you. She might improve your team. She might be good in Faction Wars instead of Faceless type of thing. If you don't have Faceless, I don't think she's A1 team, but I think she's something you can look at afterwards and say, let's give her a try and see what she can do. So those are my final thoughts on Whisper. What are your final thoughts on her? Did anything you saw in this video surprise you, or did you kind of always go, yeah, it's Whisper? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, I want to thank you for joining me in this video. I am, like I said, pushing hard to get as many of these I built them so you don't have to this week out. So you're probably going to see nothing but that this week. I was thinking of 5 more things that I need to add in 2022. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. But either way, I want to thank you for joining me. I want you to most importantly be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.